Hey, this is Andrew Brown from the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp, bringing you another video for week 8, where we are going to look at implementing the upload for our avatars. So we're going to have to do some front-end development here, and then some client-side S3, which I've done before, but it's been a while, so we'll have to dig up some code, but I'm sure we can figure it out. So let's get our application in a working state, running it in local development because we do not need to rely on production right now. I'm going to check my Docker Compose file. Of course, we're using env files here, so I'll have to make sure that those are set up correctly. I'm kind of getting tired of running that command manually, the bin front end, back end. I really should put that into my, what do you call it? My Gitpod file. So something we should do at some point. In fact, I'm going to do that right now, so I never ever have to do it again. So I just need somewhere to put it, and we're getting a lot of these tabs over here, but oh no, we already have it. We generated out in the front end. Okay, so I guess I must have done it before. I just, the trauma of doing it so many times makes me think that I did not set it up, that I was already thinking that wasn't there. But we'll go in here and see what's set. So our front end looks fine. Well, this one is actually setting it to, the back end, so that's fine. And we'll go into the front end, front end, back end. And these are using local, so it looks like we are set up to use localhost. But there is the fact that we do have to run a bunch of stuff here, but we'll do a compose up here. And while that is going, I just kind of feel like writing a bin script, because writing bin scripts are fun. And I'm just going to call a new one here called Bootstrap. And all this one is going to do is run other scripts. So we'll go into our, where do we do on DB, right? And in here we have setup. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab this here. And we probably should put this in here as well. While that is getting started up here, that didn't work out. We'll just compose up again because it takes 1,000 times over for that to ever work. And so here we have a bunch of stuff, so we'll go here and copy this. And I'm going to just put this with more equals here. And this one's going to be, what are we calling this? Bootstrap. Bootstrap. And I'll make sure that's spelled correctly there. Bootstrap. Always spell that wrong. Okay, so we'll get our absolute path here for this file. And now we are in the bin directory, so we don't even have to say this is bin. Well, that would be the absolute path for the file. So we do have to do this to get the bin directory, I suppose. And we'll say bin dir. And so what I want to do is run that one. So we don't actually have to put the word source, but I'm just kind of in the habit of doing that now. So we'll do bin dir, and this one will be db. And for that, it will have, oh, what would this have here? It would have setup. And then after that, we want to do our Postgres one, or our RDS one. So DynamoDB. And so for DynamoDB, we'd want to schema load, and then we want to seed the data. And so this will just save us a little bit of time, and maybe we can keep enriching this file so it makes our lives a bit easier. This is just not starting up today whatsoever. What if I go, I'll just hit escape here. I'm going to just write Docker Compose up somewhere here. Maybe it'll then take it then. It's just refusing here today. Oh, you know what? Because we probably haven't logged in. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to keep adding more scripts here because I just want to have this. Well, that's not going to help because we need to log in. Yeah, okay. We'll do bin docker or ECR login, like that. I was hoping I could just put it in here, but that's not going to help. And now we'll do Docker Compose up. That's the reason why it's failing. But we have our setup, we have our schema load, we have our seed. This is what we'd run after, like once it is running here. So we'll give it a moment to get everything running. I'll be back here in a second. All right, so I think everything is running now. I'm seeing connection pool issues. That's totally fine. I mean, it should be running the Postgres one. So we'll go over here on the left-hand side. And we'll give it a moment to think about what containers are running. Something's running. And we do have DynamoDB there. Where's our Postgres one? What the heck? I'm going to go to my Docker Compose YAML file. Let's take a look here. DynamoDB, DB, yeah, it should be running. Why isn't it running? We'll go back over here to Docker, DynamoDB. Oh, it is running there. Okay, so I'm not sure why we're getting these pool errors though. Maybe they're just superficial. Doesn't seem like it. They keep running them. Database CRUD does not exist because we haven't made it yet. So maybe we just have to get it to work. I'm not sure why it's repeatedly doing that, but we'll try out our new script that we just made, our Bootstrap script, and see if that saves us some trouble. At least doing this once in a while here. Bootstrap. We'll hit enter. No such file, directory, bin drop. Oh, right, sorry. So these ones are, well, I mean, that makes sense. Bootstrap. Ugh, our script didn't work. Bin drop, no such directory. Okay, I thought like it would execute the context of the next one, but apparently that doesn't work. So we'll just run this manually for now, I suppose. Setup. Or what we can do is take the contents of setup and do that. So maybe we would do that instead. If I go into, I don't know, I'll just run it manually, I guess. We'll come back to the script, maybe fix it later. We'll do setup here. And we'll do DDB, and this will be schema load, and then we'll have our seed here. Great, and let's see if that is stopped complaining about things not existing, because the database now exists. It doesn't seem like it's complaining about it anymore. This is just old. Let's see if our application is working. We'll go to our ports. We will open up 3000, and I don't see any data, of course. So let's see what it's complaining about now. We'll go over to our backend here. We got a 200. Error decoding tokens. I'm not sure if that is our actual problem here. Oh, we now have no problems. I'll take it. I don't care. Okay, so we are not currently logged in. Let's sign in. And just by the way, folks did not implement this one correctly. So I had a hard-coded value, and then somebody might have suggested something like passing the user handle along for here. That is super dangerous because then you're basically allowing anybody to create posts on behalf of anybody else. So we will make an additional video. I could do it right now, but I think we'll push that down into another video after this just so that we're not overloading this video with stuff. But in here, what we need to do is we need to have a place to upload our avatar. I suppose in Twitter, they probably have that in a profile page. So I'm just going to open up Twitter off screen here and just kind of get an idea where to do that. We also want to serve our avatars as well. So that's part of this thing. So if we go to profile, there's like an edit profile button, and then we get a pop-up. And then from there, we can change our avatar. So I suppose that's what we can do. So let's go to our profile page and see what we have. So this isn't the nicest looking thing. Here, what we'll need to do is spruce this up a little bit and also get some additional information here. So let's go and take a look at what we have for our backend. I'm just curious what our endpoint is or if we've encoded one. So we'll go to app.py here. And we should have like a show page for users, do we? Let's go find out. So I'll scroll on down here. Activities home, notifications, activities. We have short, but there should be one directly for this page. Shoots or short, home activities, notifications, user activities. So I believe it's user activities that we're looking for here. User activities. Yeah, and that would show an individual user And here, it's getting the handle, and then it will return information. And so from this, we have this endpoint. Did we ever code this in? Let's go find out. We'll go to our user activities. And this data is mocked. So that means it's always returning the same user. So we need to go ahead and implement this. We are going to need ourselves a new query in our database. So I'm going to go into our database here, activities, or not activities, users, and we'll make a new one called show.sql. This is returning just this information here. There's two things we need. We want the activity feed for this user, but we also want to have some of their profile information. So I'm just trying to think about this for a moment, because we can have the show here. And then we want activity data. So I'm just trying to think about that, because when we scroll, we actually haven't implemented this in the app, but when you scroll, you're supposed to get more paginated data. But on this initial load, we just want to have data of their most recent tweets and the show page there. So I don't like breaking up things into smaller. I don't really like having many small queries. I like to have very low, like I like to put everything in the single query because it's a lot more efficient in many regards. So what it will do is we'll just make one query called show here. So we'll say select all from public users, where users equals ID, and then this would be %s that, and that would be our, how would we get that? Because we'd have the handle. I guess we'd just get it by the handle. That's probably how we would do it. I'm just going to double check our other syntax here. %s, yeah, I got that right. And so we do want the user's UUID. We want the user's handle. We want the user's display name. Is there anything else we want? If they had a description, we might have that, time they join, other things like that, followerships. But really want those three values. Now you might say, well, can't we just get that from here and query that? Well, we might want to return more rich data later on, so I'm just trying to set this up for later. But we also want to have our activities here, so I'll just do that. And so we're going to need an array query here. This is like a more advanced way to embed this stuff. So I'm going to go over to our lib directory here in our DB, and we're going to go ahead and grab those wrap statements here. So if we want to return an array, we want this. So grab this here. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in like that. And then we'll grab this here. And I'll paste that in. I actually built a templating language for this to embed it, so I can just do this. Array, like array. And that, I have that, but I don't have it for Python, so we will just have to manually put this in here, which is not that big of a deal. It's just a little bit long to look at. We'll take that semicolon off. We don't want that there. We'll say as activities, and that will return the activities. But yeah, it'd be nice if you could embed templates into templates. And again, that's something I do with this other templating thing I made called Querylet. GitHub. So this library here I made, this is Querylet Rails, but it's actually Querylet. Using Ruby, I actually wrote it to interpret this templating language. And basically, it's like making your own language. It's really fun to do this stuff, but it is quite difficult to do. Or at least it'd be hard for me to parse that over. So yeah, it parses the language and stuff like that. So that might be something fun to do, but again, I don't know how to do that for Python. So that might be a bit hard for me to convert. So we want to return basically the same data as any other object here. So I'll go here to object and just grab this data. And then we can paste that in. So that will be our select here above. Select. And from here, we'll say from public activities, where activities dot user UUID, I assume that it is, equals users dot UUID. And we'll just double check the schema to make sure that's what it's called, because I don't remember. User UID, that is correct. We want this date, we want the latest stuff, so we'll say order by, we can just look at another query to see how we did that. Yeah, order by activities created at. To match on the users, we do have it one layer up, so we don't have to do a left join on that, so that's totally fine. But yeah, that's basically what we want for that. We don't want all the data, so we might just say limit 100, or not 100, like 20 or 40. Because the idea is that when you scroll down, you need to load that, right? So that would be another endpoint that we have to implement. But that looks good for now. Let me just think about this for a second here. Yeah, I'm just thinking. Display name, handle, UUID. We don't need the avatar. Like there's no field for avatar because it will literally be the UUID. But the idea is that when we don't have one, we need to serve a default image. But we need to know that there is an avatar. So we might want to modify our database to have a flag that says like has avatar or something like that. So that might be something that we want to do. But right now we just want to serve this data here. So we'll go back over to our endpoints into the services here. Services, and we'll go into user activities, and then we'll open one up that we implemented as similar. So that would be, did we do notifications? No, that one's still hard-coded as well. Ooh, we got lots of work to do. Not necessarily in this stream, but we'll be doing it soon enough. So let's see here. So for user activities, if the handle's blank, then okay, we can't do much there. But if we do have the handle, then we can pass that along. So what we'll do here is copy this here. We'll need something similar. We don't need this now. That's all for mocked data. We'll take the results out here like that. And this will be the results. We'll go back up here. And we don't need the date times, so we don't need those. And in here, this is, instead of activities, this is going to be users show. And so that actually should be all we need to do for that. So let's go back here and refresh that. So now the data structure is a little bit different. So let's go open this up. It probably is returning the data. I mean, unless we made a mistake, which is fine. And we do have a mistake. So let's go check our backend to see what it's complaining about. Since I'm running Docker Compose here, it probably will spit out the error. That's one advantage of running Docker Compose up directly in here. But I like to open it differently, but I'm doing it this way. The view function for data handle did not return a valid response. The function either returned none or ended with a returned statement. So it's expecting data to come back. The thing is, like, if the query fails, it's supposed to return an empty JSON string or an empty array. Actually, we're not doing an array, we're doing an object. So that definitely is one thing that's wrong because the initial thing is wrapped in a user. So we'll go back here and refresh. That might not necessarily fix our problem. We'll get a slightly different error. Okay, so still it's saying nothing returned. So here it's expecting data to come back. It returns the model down here. We're not seeing anything. We'll just go ahead and save that. Whoops. Save that. You know, prints only appear after inserting new line and saving Flask. It's really annoying. Prints only appear container. Like, how do you describe that problem? What's this say here? This is our problem. So I have Python main prints some strings when it started and goes into a loop afterwards. As long as I start the container with IT flag, everything works fine. I can see the output via the logs later. If I try to run the same container with D, the container seems to start normally, but I can't see the output. Attach does not display anything similar. Any ideas what's going on wrong here? Does print behave differently when it runs in the background? Finally, I found a solution to Python when running daemonized using unbuffered output instead of this. You can see the output now both in SCR and via the logs. Force the SC out streams to be unbuffered. What does that do? I mean, let's try that. Because I'm just sick and tired of having to insert new lines to see logs. So let's just see if it works, because it's literally one flag. So I'm going to go into, here's the question is it building with our production or our local one right now? This one is, oh, it must be using local because it's doing back in Flask like that. So we'll go into our Docker Compose here, or our Docker Compose, our Docker file. And down below, we have a bunch of flags here. Let's throw in a -u. It's not really exactly what they're describing here, like the problem they were having, but I'm desperate. I want this to stop happening, so let's just try it and see if it works. We'll go back here and say Docker Compose up. Another thing is, like, this is a Docker file. We might have to rebuild our Docker file. I'm not actually sure about that. It should know to do something with it. I wonder if that would rebuild it. Well, let's go find out. Okay, so what I want to know here is if I go here, let's make this bigger. Now, will it show my logs the first time around when I go here? So we go to Profile. And it doesn't seem to have done anything. That's unfortunate. Oh, okay, well, let's just take a line out then. Now it shows it. I really hate having to take a line out to see stuff. But anyway, so we can see our query. Nothing's being passed along, so that's probably not going to help too much. The other thing to that is we aren't matching on anything. At least it doesn't look like we are. So it says select from UUID. But that's activities home. No, that's not the one that's the problem. That one's fine. User activities DD line 9. Did I introduce a bug? Okay. That must be an old error. Refresh this. Yeah, we know it didn't return something valid. The view function for data handle did not return a valid response. Maybe it's not running this at all because it's not showing anything. So here, if the user handle equals none, then it's blank, else do this. So, but we aren't printing anything out. Well, I guess I don't need to see anything printed out. I just want to see that this template executed, and I'm not seeing it show up here. So what I'm going to do here is scroll up here, and we do have this try in here, which I'm not a huge fan of right now. We don't really need the try, so I'm just going to take it out for now and just rule it out as a thing that we have to work with. I'm just going to put some prints in here. So user activities, run, and then we go down below here, and then we'll just say else on this. And then I'll say print results. And so now we have a bunch more stuff in here. We'll give this a refresh. DB is not defined. So that's definitely would make it not work. So we'll go over here. We'll bring this in and we'll paste this in here like that. So maybe that was our problem. We'll refresh this. We'll go back. Query parameter missing handle. Yeah, that's definitely something that we need to pass into it. So we definitely did not pass that in there. So we'll go here and we'll say handle equals user handle. So that's definitely right. And then down below here, name handle is not defined. Because this is a dictionary, we're not working with JSON, so we'll change that. And this is line 4, user.uuid. Is that in the query that's complaining? Probably. It's probably supposed to be users, not user. So go back to the show page. This is users. Users here. User, yeah, there it is. There's the problem. We'll go back here, refresh. And now we're still getting here. This column does not exist. There is no one called ID. It's called UID, but we're actually matching on the handle. So this is wrong. So we'll go back and fix that. We'll refresh. And I mean, that's better. We're not getting the other error. Well, this actually over here. Prints is not defined. There is no prints. It's just print. Okay, so we'll go back here again. Refresh. Print XS is not defined. Oh my goodness. That's not what's there. Let's try this again. Okay, we'll just take some of the prints out here because I think we're through those errors now. I think it's less of a problem. Okay, great. Now the query is running. Good. I think it's working now because we see a 200 there. But the thing is that it can't map to how it's being returned because now the data structure is like this, right? So we have an array of activities in there. That was the whole point of that array thing, which is really cool. So what we'll do is go back over to here. And what I want to do is I want to change the structure. So we'll have to pull up the user activities page. And, oh, not this one, the JavaScript one. Oh, user feed page. Sorry, I guess they don't match exactly. And that's the CSS, but we want the JavaScript. So in here, the data is going to return, and we have to set the activities. But the thing is that that is now on activities like this. We also need to set the profile. So what we'll do is create a new one here for the profile here. So we'll just say profile, set profile. And we'll go down below here, and then everything else will be in the profile. Now, our data structure does not reflect it that way. So to make our lives a little bit easier, we're going to go back over here, and we can just wrap this in the other one. So if we go back over to our DB file, like that, we can find this here, print params, SQL. I'm looking for the wrap for object. Here it is. And we'll go here and do this one. As profile. We'll just do a select here. We don't have to have a from because the from is down here. So this is just a cool way to select a subsection. We don't want a comma on there. It'll error out if we have that one on the end. We'll give that a refresh. We'll see if the data is returned in the format that we'd like it to be in. At least the page is loading, so that is good. We'll go back over here. There's an error on the back end. It says expected a curly but found a curly. So there is a slight problem here. I'm just taking a look here. There is this object row here, but it's also there as well. So I don't think that's the problem. I'm not seeing any kind of weird highlighting. It is complaining about line 4, which is actually not line 4. It's this one here. Found a curly. Expected a string. I think it's because we have doubles here. Remember we put the doubles in here for Python so that it would actually render out. So it's probably just supposed to be singles in here. That's probably the reason why. We'll give that a refresh. Now we're seeing our data on this page. If we look at our structure, we have profile activities. We can use this data to populate this top part, similar to a Twitter profile. And if we're on our own profile, then we should see the edit profile button. So that is some optional stuff that we should see there. What we're going to do is go over to our components in our in that area there. And in here, we will make a new component. This will be our edit profile button. Okay, and we just need any kind of reference code. So there is the CRUD button. We'll copy that as a reference, paste that in, and we'll say edit profile button. And I'll make some CSS for that too. Edit profile button. And yes, I do hate how all this CSS is in here. If we had just a second, I would move it up into a different directory for CSS. But we're not going to do that right now because I don't want to make things harder for you. So we'll just keep it simple for now. So we need to change this to edit profile button. Edit profile button. It actually works similar because it's going to have a pop-up. As the other one has here. So set pop is actually okay to have there. This says pop activities form, which is not true. It's going to be pop profile form. Profile form, and that's fine. It's not a post. It's just button. Profile edit button. I don't know, did we start using hyphens or underscores? I forget. I'll say edit profile here. This button doesn't have to go anywhere, so there's no href. It doesn't really matter. I'm noticing that we have this. I noticed that we don't have the usual event prevent defaults on here. That's probably just an oversight. Event.prevent. Maybe we don't have to do that. I'm pretty sure we have to. Let's go take a look at some of my other code here. Yeah, we have this here. So it really should be on these as well. I mean, they're not wrapped in forms, but just in case we should do this just so that it doesn't cause any kind of weird side effects. And so I'm just going to do that for both the CRUD button and the other one. So yeah, it hasn't caused us any issues, but I don't want to have more issues. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Because button is used for, it can trigger a submission in a form if it would ever be embedded in one. So this one here, profile pop form. Not sure why it is grayed out, but maybe I had a spelling mistake there. Actually, I do. This one says that, and we'll go up here and do that. And so we'll save that like that. So now we technically have a edit profile button, but it has to be conditional. It should only show up if you're logged in or not. But let's just get it into the page first. So over here, we have our user page feed, not the CSS, but here. And so we'll need to import that here. So we'll say edit profile button. And we'll go here and say edit profile button. And so now that component should be imported. We need this to be conditional based on this. Yeah, we're still doing load data like that. Check auth is fine. So down below here, we need to have that button. It should be conditional based on whether it's your profile or not. I'm just trying to think about how we would do that. So the I'm trying to think what data we get back from our login. I guess we would have that data because it would be on the user. Yeah, the user would probably have the handle information, I think. So it is conditional. We have the activity feed here, which is fine. The title is built into there. So basically these have their own top parts. We probably shouldn't have that part of that. We should probably refactor that out into a title, like a page title or something. So I'm just thinking about that for a second. Let's go over to the page feed JS. So we have a little bit of roundabout stuff too. Yeah, so we have the feed heading, which is here. It is embedded inside of there, so that is totally fine. I guess it really just depends on how we want the CSS to work. So like, or like the structure needs to work. So I'm not sure if we could move that out of there right now. We should probably have it in there. So I'm just thinking here, this is the collection, that is the actual feed. For the time being, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out here and just try to simplify this because I don't feel like passing in properties or like components and rendering them inside of them. So I'm just going to simplify this and just pull this out here. And then we will refactor need be, okay? We'll just get it working first before we muck with anything else. So whoops. Undo. Undo. Right click cut. We'll go in here. Right click paste. This, I don't know if this will mess up the CSS as well, but instead of like having that, I'm just going to do this like this and simplify that. We will have to update this for other pages that are using the activity feed. The other page that's using the activity feed is the notifications and the home page. So we'll go to the home page here, and we'll go down here and do some slight refactoring. So we'll just copy this. We'll paste this in like that. The title here is just home, so we'll just do this as home for now. That. And then I need the matching one here, so that's that one. So we'll go here and paste that in there like that. We'll go here. So this one matches that one, should it? Sometimes it likes to insert things for us, and no, so then they don't match. So that's one's for the content. It's our indentation levels are incorrect. This is supposed to be indented one, and that's why it is misleading. So we'll do that, and then we'll bring back in our other one. Or no, we already have it here. Sorry. Okay, great. And so that will be there. We'll come over here, and this one just takes title for now. So we'll just take this and replace this with title. We need to update also the activities or notifications homepage feed, which we have yet to code. We will do that at some point. We will code all these things. We will make sure we have a really awesome working application. I am not lazy. I like to finish things, so we will not leave a half-built app. We will go and paste that in. We will do this. We will copy this one on the end here, and this one takes notifications. We will paste that in there for now. But you know, we'll probably want to refactor this part here. But it's just that if it's different, we might not want to. We might want to have these as separate components. So I just want to leave them in the open until we decide for later what we need to do. Here we don't need to pass a title. It's not expecting that anymore. Okay, so we'll save that. We'll make sure our app still works. We'll refresh. It still works. We'll go to, that's the home page. We'll sign in here. We don't need to be signed in, but we'll just do that anyway. I just want to see if an error gets raised on any of these pages. So our home page is fine. Our notifications is apparently working fine. Our profile is fine. It looks like not all of our conditionals are in our profile page, so I guess we'll have to bring that stuff over as well. So we will go over to the user feed page here, and I'm just going to bring this down so I have more page to copy and paste, and we'll match it up with the home page here. So we'll say homepage JS like that. And let's take a look here. So we have load data and check off, so that stuff is in place. But we're supposed to have conditional login stuff, right? Because more stuff should show up here. So desktop navigation's here. We have the user. So what's its problem then? What if we refresh this page? Interesting. Oh, it's the old one. That's why. It's not using the new implementation. Okay, so this actually doesn't need to be here at all, so we just remove that. And we'll get rid of the cookies here, and we'll bring in this line here. So copy, paste. We don't seem to be using that get access token yet. That is for when we were making this API call on the home page. We do that because we're passing it over here as the authorization token. Yeah, because that's something we have to do now. So I remember we were doing that before. We'll go ahead and paste that in here. We'll just kind of get our code up to date. This one doesn't even have headers in it, so we'll just grab this and place the headers in here as such. And so that will bring in our access token. We still have to grab this line here, so we'll copy that in as well. And so we'll paste that in. And so that might fix some of our problems. Set user doesn't seem to be getting set, so where does that get set then? Down below here in the effect. So we will go down and set that as well here, set user. Great, we will save that, go back, refresh it. And now our stuff is showing up on the profile page, even though it kind of looks like the home page right now. Okay, so the next thing is to make this home page here look more like a home page. We do have banners. Now, whether we want our app to have banners is a different story, but here it has the name and the amount of tweets they've ever done, and then there's the banner and a few other things. So, and there's a back button as well. And we brought in all these icons separately, so I would have to create an icon and drop it in, and that's sometimes a bit of a headache. But we should kind of update our profile there. So we'll go back to our user page feed.js here, and I'm just going to move this over. And what I want to do here is bring in some code. So we have our title, which is fine. This actually, we want this to be, the title we want this to be is not the handle, but the username. So for the time being, I'm just going to clear this out because we really want to get it on the profile here. So this is really going to be profile display name is what we want. And then below that, we can have our CRUD. So we can say div class equals CRUDs count here. And I'll just, sorry, I need to scratch my eye there for a second. We'll just say CRUDs. And then we'll have a number on here, the amount of CRUDs they have. So CRUDs count. So right now we don't actually store a counter cache of values. If we do Memento, we could have it there. There's a few places where we could be storing that information. Where I'm going to place this counter right now is hard-coded into the query. It's not good long-term, so this is not something we will continue to do, but it will just be for the time being. We called that one show.sql, so we'll hop into there. And up here, we want that CRUDs count. So we'll go here and say CRUDs count, and then I'll say as, and then we'll say select all or true from, we'll count it, sorry. Here, we'll hit enter here, and then we'll just do a where on that, say from public activities, scratch my nose, and activities user UUID equals users UUID because we have that from before. And that should get us all the count. Now this is not good because basically you are getting all of them. It's like doing a scan in DynamoDB. It's not efficient at scale, but for the time being, we will keep it in place until we have a caching solution. So I'll go back over here. We'll give it this a refresh. We have an error probably from our endpoint. We need to run JavaScript. That's not true. We'll refresh this again. And no, it's not doing it. Maybe this one's old. I don't know what's going on here. We'll go to home. We'll go back to profile. We'll inspect here. Title is not defined. So it probably is erroring out on this prematurely, and that's why it's having some trouble. That makes sense because we actually removed that that field there, so I understand why that is erroring out. But we will go over here and look for the title. Should be in that endpoint here, right? Oh, that's on the home page. We want to be on the user page here. And so in here, we'll just do, what is it? Params dot handle. And so that will resolve that issue. And we'll go back over here, give this a refresh. Still not working per se. Now what doesn't it like? Maybe it's on the endpoint now, 500. Okay, so we have a syntax error because that's the only thing we've changed here. I'm just going to carefully look at our query. Select all. Public activities. I mean, it looks okay to me, so let's see what its complaint is. We are seeing this connect. Oh, this stupid tab. Yeah, I don't care if it does the subsegment. What's the problem? Oh, that's why I don't like doing it this way. I like opening the log so I can see what I'm doing, but it doesn't like something. What something does it not like? I can't tell. So what I'll do is go over here and just open it separately so I can see what I'm doing. Open that up. Click it again. Show activity is not defined. That's our problem, show activity? What is it talking about? Name, show activity is not defined. Are they sure that's the problem? All right, so I guess we'll go in there and take a look. At pi, show activity. So show activity would be coming in from users activity. So if we go over to here and we go into users activity. Oh, it is called users activity. Well, what the heck? It was working before. Oh, this is trying to load a different page like notifications because it might be messing up the route up here. Let's take a look at what it's actually sending as the route. So if we go here and we go, don't we end up removing the @ sign or do we have to have it in there? So when we're calling the API activities here, it is not having the @ sign. So maybe we have to add it back in. Is there a problem? Maybe that's our problem here because we changed the endpoint. We'll go back here, refresh. I don't remember now. Okay, but yeah, we're getting somewhere better. And here we have an error about activities. So that's probably what it was. It's like going to the wrong place. Show SQL. We are here, so we are looking for activities on line 14, but it's probably not line 14 because it lies. This was the query we wrote earlier, activities. Maybe we spelt it wrong. That's probably what it was. We'll refresh it. There we go. We're seeing our data. It's not showing anything up there. That's okay. We will go and inspect it, and we'll look at our network tab. We will see what the data looks like. Return profile, display name. That's correct, but it's not showing that. So we'll go back over here and we will scroll on down. Yeah, it's supposed to show profile, display name, and the CRUDs count. Oh, is the CRUD counts there? That's what we were doing. We were seeing if that would show up. Yeah, CRUDs count is 1. Okay. So why don't we see anything there? We don't have any actual errors per se. Like there's this, that's superficial. Title, that, it's blank, we don't see anything. Maybe it didn't set the profile, but the data is being returned. So we'll go up here. We set it on the same thing. That's why set profile. We'll go back up here. We'll refresh. Now I'm seeing Andrew Brown. The CRUD count is there. We just can't really read it. We'll go back over here. I think I would like to break this up into its own component now. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll just say new file. Profile heading. That's what we'll call it. I need a basis of 1, so is this small? No, it's not. CRUD button's pretty small, we'll grab that. We'll go back to the profile heading, wherever that is. We'll paste that in. We'll rename this to profile heading. This one will be profile heading. We'll go down below here to user feed. And in here, I want to import it, so we'll just say profile heading. Just do it like that, and we'll just say profile is profile. We'll bring this over into here. We'll place this code here. Oh, it does not copy paste to save my life. Okay, we'll copy this. Cut. I'm telling you, I'm not this incompetent with pasting. It's the browser. So we have this here. That's fine. This has to be props. Oops, this will be props. And then here I'll just say like profile heading. So I have a bit more control over it. And we might end up taking out this part and just having that part. We don't need any of this stuff in here. We don't need that. We don't we render the button in here? We were good at, I think that's what we're trying to get at. So we'll bring in this button here. We'll paste this in here. Oh man, this pasting is killing me. Cut. Paste. Great. And so we do need to have that. It comes after the banner and the avatar. So I can just do div class name avatar. And I mean, that gets rendered somewhere. It repeats the name and display name twice. So I can just display that twice, I suppose. Class name. We should do class name on this. It's going to never shut up about that. Display name. And then we'll have the handle here. So this will be props handle, props display name. The avatar we want to load here. We might want an image. We might not want it as an image. What do they do? It looks like it's an image because you can drag it. And maybe it's not actually, but there's nothing wrong with making it an image. We can do that if we want. So we could do this and say, for now, we'll just hard code it. So we'll just say https://assets dot crutter.com/avatar or avatars data. It might not work here because we're not on the correct domain. So it depends on what our cores are set to, if they have to be the same place. But we will have that for data like that. See if that loads at all. And so we are getting some stuff in there. We want to use that button somewhere here. So we'll just say here and say edit button profile like that. We do need to set its pops. So that's something we do with the CRUD one. We set pops over here. So we need a pop like pop set popped profile, set popped profile like that. And then down below for this button, we'll have to pass it in. I guess, well, we'll need to set it in for the header here. So in the activity form, that makes sense. For the profile heading, oh my goodness, set popped. And then this will be set popped profile. So that'll get passed along. And then in here, we can set the set popped equals to set popped props. All right, so I mean that's set up. Let's see if we get any errors. I'm sure we will. Refresh that. Profile heading is not defined because we did not import it yet. So we'll go to the top here. Profile heading. Profile heading. And you know, these will probably like spit out errors down below, but I'm old school. I just refresh and see what my error is and fix it as we go. A profile heading CSS is not defined, probably not, or we named it wrong. Yeah, I guess we didn't even make it. New file, profile, heading, CSS. We'll do that. We'll refresh. There we go. Hey, it's data. It's loading. That's cool. And our button's a little button. We can fix the styling. Who wants to do some styling? I know you do. Let's go ahead and do some. All right, so what I'm going to do here is going to here, and we name this profile. Yeah, I guess someplace I had the hyphens, and now I'm doing the underscore. Very inconsistent. Maybe I'll go back and update that at some point. My CSS, I should have just stuck with one or the other. And so for the avatar, right, we are doing everything in line. That's right. So I'll just take this out like that. So for the avatar image, we'll set the width to 256 pixels and height to 256 pixels first. There we go. I'm going to just go check what Twitter uses. So I just can do this here and then drag out. Oh, it doesn't tell me the dimensions. I'm thinking I'm on a Mac. Another way I could do it is just right click here and inspect it. And it should tell me the general dimensions. 133 is what it's saying. I like to round those around, so we'll go to 128. 128 by 128 pixels. I guess we go a bit bigger. 140 by 140. I think that's appropriate. We do want rounded borders on that, I suppose. We could do something even funkier, but I'm going to just not. I'm just going to do something normal. What we'll do here is do border radius 99999 pixels, and that should round it out. There we go, nice and rounded. So that is good. If there's a background image, then there should be like some way to like see up here where they have like a line around it. We do need like some kind of background image. So I'm just going to go here and say like Star Trek background here. And we're going to borrow this for the time being. This has to be it has to be something like this. So for this, I think I will copy that for now. It really depends on what dimensions those are. So I'm just going to drag this to my desktop. It's a JPEG. I'm going to say Starfleet or background for now. And in here, there's somewhere probably to place assets. Components, SVGs. We'll make a new folder here called images. And I'm just going to drop this in here. I'm going to call this banner for now. I mean, we could have like a default banner that everybody always has if they don't replace it. But for now, I'm just going to use this. And we need to import that somehow. So we do need a banner that appears between this and that. So I'll just go here and say div class banner. And this would not be an image. You wouldn't want to do it that way. We can put the avatar within the banner if we want to. That might make the styling a bit easier, possibly. But the banner has to use styles. So I'm not sure how to do that for React. I don't really do that often. So have an inline style for background image placing in a variable for a React element. Okay. All right, so that's maybe how we do it. I don't use React day to day. I wrote my own framework. So we will go here. This will be style equals styles. We will go up here and we'll say styles. And that, what is it? Just background? I mean, some of that's true. Oh, I guess we can just take that. I think I'll be more explicit and do background image like that. We do want it to cover. We do want it to be center, so that stuff is great. We don't want it to repeat, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not sure if that's how we would load the image. Because with the SVGs, we load those as that way, but here it's the path. How would we know that it would load that image, though? Well, I guess the SVGs embed it, and this is here. I mean, technically, this stuff would get served up by our assets. So maybe what I should do is not put it in here, but actually serve it in our CloudFront distribution. And so we should just drop it into our bucket here. So what I'm going to do is go up here, and we'll make create a folder. We'll call this one banners. Banners, and we'll create that. And this banner really should be the name of whatever the user UID is right now. We'll worry about that later. But I'm just going to go ahead and drop that in there, even though it's not the right size and it'd have to be resized and all that stuff. But I just want to get it in there. So I am trying to find this here, banners here, great. And we'll drag this, well, that's called background still. I'm going to just rename that to banner. And I'm going to drag this into banners here. And then what I can do is just upload this file, and then we'll go over here, and the path to the image is now going to be banner, and it'll be https://assets crutter.com banners banner. And then the style gets added there. We probably have to do it like this. That's probably why it's complaining. At least that's what I think. Is that what it did over here? Yes, it did. Okay, great. And so we'll reload that, see if that works. Fingers crossed. Didn't load, but at least nothing super broke here. Let's go take a look at our banner. It looks like it is showing it locally. It's supposed to have a period there, not a comma. So it's probably just a mistake on my part because I could not see that part of the page. We'll delete this folder. We don't need that here. And I'll go back over here, give this a refresh. And now it's loading that. I want to put it in the same style as that. That's not a big deal. What's the height on this? This is 598, so 600 seems to be what is in good shape here. So we'll go back over here, and I will go up here, and we'll go down. Whoops, we will go down and say profile, heading, banner. As you can see, I'm not using anything like Tailwind. Tailwind, again, is great if you don't know what you're doing. If you do know what you're doing, or if you want to have full control of your CSS, just write it plainly. Okay, so we'll say height 600 pixels. So that way it will match that size. We'll refresh that. Oh, maybe it wasn't 600. That seems kind of crazy. I was probably looking at the width instead of the height. So we'll go here, and it's actually about 200. So we'll go back to that, and we'll say 200 on this. And we'll go and refresh this. So now that is more correct. The avatar is going to have a border around it. So we'll go here, and we'll give this a border radius of that, and we'll just say border radius, or sorry, border solid 8 pixels. And we do have some bars in here, so I'm not sure what they are. I forget what they are. I remember it's an app CSS or not. Maybe it's in variable CSS. Where did we put them? Index CSS maybe? Ah, there it is. And so this is the background, I think. So, or it could be the foreground. Let's double check our app. That would be foreground. So we'll do foreground because foreground is basically black, close to it anyway. And we'll go back over here and we will refresh. And I think it's working. Let's put, I can't tell. So let's put 20 on that, see if that's a little bit better. I mean, it looks like it's on this side, but not on that side. Can that happen? Yeah, I think so because, yeah, it's stretching out in a weird way. I know why it's doing that. So instead of putting it on here, we can just put it up here, I suppose. I just didn't think that would work properly if we did that. There we go. So now it's doing it properly, but now it's also shrinking the image at the same time, which I don't like. I guess we could just compensate by adding additional pixels on it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. There we go. And now we just want that to be on the bottom there. So that's why we embedded one in the other to make it a little bit easier. So I'll go here and we'll bring avatar up. I don't really use absolutes and positions very often, but this is one of the cases where it makes sense to use it. So we'll say absolute, and then we'll say bottom, and then we'll say negative 124 pixels, which is half the length. And so it should now bleed off on that page there, all the way at the bottom. The reason that happened is because we need to have a relative on this one so that it knows to stay in the scope of here. And we'll go back over here, we'll refresh. It's a little bit too far down. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Let's just give it a 0 for a moment and see what it does there. Oh, okay. What? Why? We have it on the inside, right? We do. Why is it doing that? I'll inspect this here for a second. Bottom. Top. Okay. Oh, we got to do it on the banner. That's why. Sorry. This is supposed to be here. We'll leave that part alone. We'll go back, refresh. There we go. That makes more sense. And so now what we can do is say negative 124 pixels, which is half the length. There might be some smart CSS for that, but I'm just going to do it the old school way. That's not exactly doing what I want. What if I go 0 here? Okay. Oh, that's not half of 148. What the heck am I doing? It would be 50 plus 20, so that would be 70, so 74. Crazy halving on my part. It has to be negative, or it's not going to go in the direction we want it to go in. So we'll refresh that. And look at that. How cool are we? We might want some padding on the left-hand side there, so we'll just go here and say left 24 pixels, since we don't need to do margins or pixels there. Maybe half of that, 16. There we go. We want our edit button to appear, so we'll go on to the other side here, and the edit button has its own styling. CSS. This is where here. What is it called? I just don't feel like opening the component there. And we'll go into here. Profile edit button, whatever. I have hyphens, who cares? And I want to give it a border, so we'll say border solid 1 pixel RGBA 255, 255, 255, 0.5, so it's slightly light. I'll give that a padding of 20 pixels and 12 pixels here. And we will bump up the font to be font size, I don't know, 18 pixels. We'll take a look at that and see what that looks like. It's looking better. It shouldn't have any backgrounds. We'll say background none here. Refresh that. It's still looking pretty ugly. We'll give it a border radius of 8 pixels. We need a color here. We probably set some in here. Field BG. We didn't actually do that yet, so I'll just do color RGB 255 0.8 for now. We need an A on that, so that will take effect. Put a semicolon on the end. Refresh that. It's not showing the text. It should be coloring it because we put color in twice, so that's a mistake. We'll go back here, refresh, and it's starting to look better. I'm going to do a full rounding on it. I'm not going to do any half measures. We'll do that. Refresh that. We need that to be on the other side. It also needs to have more padding on both sides of it, so I'll do 20. Actually, I'll do the reverse, 12 pixels, 20 pixels. There, and we'll reverse that, refresh. So that is looking kind of better. Again, it's kind of being covered here, so we want it to be on the other side. This stuff is supposed to be pulled up. We're not supposed to have this line here below it. Okay, so let me just do some inspection here. It might be because there's something else that adds a line that's like shared CSS. So here we have title. Oh, it's supposed to be display name, no? Okay. But why? Okay, yeah, so I think that we have some redundant code here in our profile page. I thought we saved that. We'll go to user, vPage. We'll scroll on down. We will go to the left here, and did we forget to remove it or something? User page feed. Ah, yeah, the old one. Okay, so we will just take that out of there like that. And we will go back here, refresh. Okay, so now we're having less side effects. And so those other two values are there. We'll go back over to this page here. I like people that like here probably just like, Andrew, get back to the cloud. I'm like, nope, we're going to make this look good. I don't know. I just think that, you know, if you're building stuff, you should be able to do basically anything. And the stuff isn't that hard to learn. So we should be doing it. So we have the display name and the handle and the button. So I'm just going to wrap this in an info. So I don't know. I just use info as a generic one for information. Okay, and then I need to wrap these as, I don't know, I'll just say ID, because it kind of identifies the person. Make it a little bit easier. And then we'll go back over to page headings here, and we'll say, whoops, profile heading info parentheses here. This is going to be display flex. And so that will make it all flex. We want this to be flex direction column or row. I think it's row by default, but I'm going to do that anyway. I want ID to have more of the space. So we'll go here and say .id, and this one is going to be flex grow 1. And so that should resolve our issues. We'll refresh. It's getting better. We need to have some padding on here. So padding, I don't know, 16 pixels. So maybe what we might want. Okay, we still can't see our handles and stuff. So here I'll just put a color on here as color RGB 255, 255, 255. Like that. Refresh. Okay, now it's just in the way, so I need to push this down. We'll just say padding top. We know that it's half by 78 or something, so 86 should probably do it. Refresh that. I still don't see them, which is kind of frustrating. I don't see why they wouldn't show up. It's not even displaying them. And the styling got messed up earlier. The oh, come on. Why does it say overflow there? Banner. Now what got messed up? What's going on with our button? Our button, 12 pixels, 20. What the heck? Oh, you know what? It's because it's set to like expand as opposed to contain. Or it's just flex. So we'll just do align items start. Yeah, because it was stretching it by default. This stuff, I don't know why that's not showing up. That's kind of frustrating me. Let's go in here and inspect. Do we have any errors here? Yeah, we do, but that's on a link probably. We'll go in here. It's not even displaying them, so maybe props isn't set or something, but it is here. Let's check the home feed here. It should be setting it. Profile. Oh, we got to call profile on it like this. Great, refresh. It's looking a little bit better. We'll go over here. We'll just say 80. Refresh this. We'll go here and we'll just resize some of this stuff. ID.display name. We'll say handle. Font size 24 pixels. Font size, I don't know, 16 pixels. Refresh. We'll do bolding on this. Font weight bold. Go here. It's looking better. This probably would be a little bit more grayed out. So I'll just take this and put this here and then put this one on here and say A, and this will say 0.7, I don't know. We'll worry about like making these things consistent later on. But I mean, that looks like a profile. We don't need as much space down here. I'm not sure why that's happening. Padding bottom 48. So that seems like that's what happens by default. I want to take off that padding bottom. I don't think it's on here, so I'm just going to double check. It's not. So I'll go here and whoops. Like it makes sense for the home page, but not over here. Padding bottom 0 pixels. We'll flip back, refresh. Yeah, I think that's fine. Twitter will have like this thing, like tweets, replies, media likes. Not sure if we feel like doing that right now. I still want this to be a bit closer. That's kind of bothering me. I'm sure it's bothering you too. And we'll say 78. Come on. There we go, refresh. Oh, now it's really messing up. Why was it fine at 80? What the heck? 78 pixels. Refresh. 70 pixels. Refresh. So I'd say that looks pretty good. But we did this to get the edit profile button. We can give that a hover too, so it's a little bit nicer. So we'll go over here and I'll go over here. Whoops. We'll just say hover. Background, RGBA, 255, 255, 255, 0.3, something like that. And I'll just put cursor pointer on that. We'll go back here, refresh. And now we can do that. We could even make it nicer, and like they have like a transition animation. That's very easy to do. I don't care about doing that. So now that we have our button and our page looks better, we need to actually have a profile that pops up. So for this one here, what it does is it pops up and it shows stuff like that. And then there's this little icon that you can click to replace these. So I'm just trying to think here. I kind of want to take a break, so I'm going to stop the video here, but I'm going to commit my code as we have it right now. So implement users edit page. Because we definitely did a lot there. I'm just going to hit sync. Sometimes like there's some lingering ones here. But yeah, I'll make another video. So the next thing we need to do is have that profile pop up. And then after that, we need to do the client-side upload and replace it. Technically, we could also do the banner because we did the avatar and it's basically very similar. We just have to have it slightly different. We might deploy it twice for that. I don't know. But it's looking like something, so that's great. The CRUDs aren't showing up still, so maybe I should just fix that really quickly there. So I just want to make it so I can see that. Let's just say profile heading. it might not be worth to even have the CRUDs count, because if we're always deleting images, or like, like the whole point of the CRUDder is that you don't really hold on to data, right? So if we're always not holding on to data, then maybe we shouldn't be showing that at all. Just a thought. But for now, I'll leave that alone. Extra styling for one little style change. But yeah, I'll stop it here, and yeah, we'll have to build out that pop-up page. So when you click through there, and we can even make it so you can update your profile information, your display name, which might be good. But I'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.